When we think about osteoporosis, we usually picture fragile bones. But is there more to it? Could it actually be fatal? That's the really important question we're going to tackle today.
So, let's get right to it. Can this disease be fatal? Well, it's a serious question, and believe it or not, the answer isn't a simple yes or no. To really get what the risk is, we've got to look a little deeper than just the disease itself.
Okay, so here's the bottom line. It's incredibly rare for osteoporosis itself to be the direct cause of death. But, and this is the part you really need to hear, it's the cascade of complications after a fracture where the true life-threatening danger lies.
To really wrap our heads around this risk, we need to start at square one. What exactly is osteoporosis? What is happening inside the body? So, at its core, osteoporosis makes your bones weak and brittle. A good way to picture it is like the inside of your bones are a honeycomb. And with this disease, the holes in that honeycomb just get bigger and bigger. This fragility is what makes you so much more likely to get a fracture from something as simple as a small bump or a minor fall.
And that right there, that's the real heart of the issue. It's not so much the weak bones themselves that are the problem, it's what happens when one of them breaks. This is where things can get really serious, really fast.
Now look, any fracture is bad news, but hip fractures, they're in a whole different league. A broken hip isn't just a broken bone. It can kick off this devastating chain reaction of health issues that can affect your entire body.
And this is what really stops you in your tracks. A 2019 research review found that up to 22%, that's more than 1 out of every 5 people who break a hip, will die within a year. Just let that sink in. It's a staggering and frankly, a really sobering statistic.
So you might be asking, how on earth does a broken bone lead to that? Well, it's all about the aftermath. A hip fracture can mean long periods of being immobile, and that's when dangerous things can happen, like pneumonia or blood clots. Not to mention the chronic pain that can follow, leading to a loss of independence, or in the case of fractures in your spine, even spinal cord injuries.
Okay, so we've talked about the serious risks, especially right after a fracture. But that isn't the whole story. What does life look like long-term for someone who's actively treating their osteoporosis?
This study from 2015 really shows the power of treatment. Just look at these numbers. A 50-year-old woman who starts treatment can expect to live another 26 years. Even for a man starting at 75, that's another 7.5 years. The big takeaway here is that with the right management, people can and do live for many years with this condition.
But that's with treatment. If you don't treat it, well, the outlook is completely different. You're looking at a sky-high risk of fractures, constant chronic pain, you might even lose height as your spine compresses, and get that classic stooped posture. All of this can lead to a really profound loss of independence.
You see, if it's left unchecked, the disease can eventually get to what's called end-stage osteoporosis. This is the most severe form, where bone loss is really significant, the risk of fracture is through the roof, and at that point, care is mostly focused on managing pain and just trying to prevent the next break.
All right, after hearing about all these risks, I bet you're wondering, so what can I do about it? And the good news is, there is a lot you can do. This isn't just some random thing that happens to you. So let's open up the toolkit for taking control of your bone health.
So here we have 4 huge strategies. First, preventing falls. Simple things like getting rid of throw rugs at home can make a world of difference. Second, you got to get your calcium and vitamin D. Think of them as the essential building materials for your bones. Third, exercise, specifically weight-bearing stuff, like walking. It literally signals your body to keep your bones strong. And last but not least, try to avoid smoking and excessive alcohol. Both are known to speed up bone loss.
And on top of those lifestyle changes, there's also a really powerful medical shield you can use. Doctors can prescribe medications that are specifically designed to slow down bone loss. It's like protecting your bones from the inside out, and it can dramatically lower your risk of a fracture.
So when is the right time to actually talk to a doctor about all this? Well, it turns out there are some pretty clear warning signs you can be on the lookout for.
Okay, this first one is a major red flag if you break a bone from a fall or an injury that really shouldn't have been that serious. Other big signs are back pain that just won't go away, noticing you're actually getting shorter or a sudden change in your posture. If you experience any of these, it's time to make that call.
When you step back and look at the whole picture, the message is crystal clear. Getting ahead of this is everything. Catching and treating osteoporosis before it leads to a bad fracture is the single most powerful thing you can do to protect your health for the long run.
So, we've walked through the risks, but we've also laid out the entire toolkit for how to fight back. The only question left is the one for you. Now that you know all this, what's your next step going to be for your own bone health?